What's up, y'all? This episode is brought to you by DistroKid. DistroKid is a service that musicians use to put music into online stores and streaming services. This includes iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music, TikTok, Amazon, Deezer, Tidal, and many more. DistroKid collects earnings and payments and sends 100% of the earnings to artists. Artists can also pay their collaborators. You can also get a hyperfollow to get more Spotify followers and promote your releases. DistroKid is also the first distributor to send music to TikTok. Use this link to get 40% off your first year's DistroKid membership. DistroKid.com/VIP/free game. All that information is in our description. Holla at your boy.
Free Gang. What up, though? Welcome back to the Free Game Producer Podcast. My name is Andre. We're here in the Bandwidth Studios here in Atlanta, Georgia. You know what I'm saying? And with me, I got the super producer, the multi-platinum producer, the big homie, Will Power in the building. What up, homeboy?
What's good? What it do, family?
Hey, man, it's a blessing to be here, man.
Yeah,
you know
man.
what I'm saying? It's a blessing to be back in the saddle. This is our first in-person podcast since Corona went down.
Yeah, it's good to see you, man.
Good to see you, too, man.
You looking good, boy. You done slim down.
I'm working on it, man. It's a work in progress, you know what I'm saying? Just like everything else in life, work in progress, you feel me?
Sir. Yes, sir.
But yeah, man, we dropped the episode last week with Denon Porter, you know what I'm saying?
Excellent episode.
Great episode. Quarantine edition.
Edition. To all the people who watch us, please excuse the technical difficulties in it. You know, of course, we were on a live conference type of program. So
right, you got 3 different Wi-Fi's going.
Yeah, 3 different Wi-Fi. So some of the footage is dragging, but we did make sure that there was some captions on the bottom so you can actually read what he was saying if you ever got confused. But nonetheless, it was an amazing interview. He had a lot of real fruitful gems to drop on us, man. So
for sure, man. And we appreciate everybody that comment. When we post on the various social media platforms, comment. And, just keep supporting it. We really appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Because we got to keep giving free game throughout this whole thing.
You already know.
But yeah, man, we sitting here, man, the beginning of June, man, and it seems like the entire world was rocked not only by Corona and the epidemic, but something that we as black men have been going through. Yeah. I want to say all our life, but for me, being a 80s and 90s baby, dating back to the early 90s with Rodney King beating it and the outrage that the officers that beat Rodney King, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just do your research. I don't know how old the listeners are.
I mean, we can put it like this. It's super similar to the George Floyd situation.
Yeah. Well, in that case, it seemed open and shut as a kid,
Right.
They beat the shit out this guy on camera. Right. Okay. Guilty, go to jail. It seemed pretty obvious to me. Like I didn't, as a kid, I was maybe in middle school. Right. I didn't understand, how
that can happen and then get off. Right.
Not guilty.
Right.
We like, what the? Not guilty. It's on camera. And literally
exactly. Like even a kid can see this. You know
what I'm saying? What you mean not guilty? And then really everybody went crazy, and again, do some research on the LA riots. Yeah. In LA, they literally burned the city down. Yeah. Well, now, we were talking about, just in the last 5-6 years, from Trayvon Martin to this wannabe rent-a-cop George Zimmerman guy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Murdering him to Mike Brown. Yeah. Philando, I think Castile.
Yeah, man.
His name.
Matter of fact, I want to say Philando was also a Minnesota case. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's crazy, bro.
I mean, we can go down the list, man. To the Oscar Grants of the world, the Sean Bells of the world. I mean, we could just name them. And in all these cases, I think one case, Walter Scott, the guy did get convicted and to go to jail, but it's like, to get convicted is the exception. Right. Because the Philando guy didn't get convicted.
I was watching something the other day, man, where they set it up. Like the police have unions of some sort. And in those unions, man, they have these rules and regulations that allow them what do you call it when a person is
immunity.
Immunity, right. And so and that's how they be beating these cases, man. Like you have to be down to the absolute detail with no mistakes in it in order to actually convict a cop.
It's crazy, and we can go on, and I'm not going to belabor this part of the conversation, but I just saw here in Atlanta, they dragged some kids out, had a curfew because of all the rioting going on, a curfew. They dragged some college kids out of the car, roughed them up real bad. The mayor fired them. They're suing the mayor now.
Yeah. It's all good.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like
we with Keisha.
Yeah, but it's like the fact that they can just
with Keisha,
the fact that they can just do that shit. Like, no, you
right
did something
that's
wrong,
bullshit,
and you got fired,
right?
You know
and
what I'm
it's
saying?
on tape, all kinds of man. Look,
Yeah. So my thing is like, my point is, at this point, we fucking fed up.
Yeah,
we fed up, you know. And now it seems like, for some reason, the rest of the world is kind of like finally seeing why the fuck we fed up. They finally like seeing like, oh shit, like, you know, this is bad. Yeah. Duh.
Like
you know
like the craziest part too, man, is like in a situation where the whole thing is about the police using excessive force, and in order to stop people who are protesting, they back at it using excessive force. It's the same bullshit over and over again. It's like you're looking at some of the footage because they're not showing a lot of this shit, bro. But the cops is busting people up on these protests, man.
With them rubber bullets.
Yeah, they wilding out right now, bro. Like you can't talk greasy to the cops at the protest because they getting their feelings, man. And next thing you know, you sprayed up and locked up.
And we can go on and on and on why this is some bullshit. Yeah. But I guess my point to intro the show is like, how does the music community respond to it? How, as producers, because I think every American, not even America, every citizen of the world, every good human being should be like, now's the time to kind of do something. Yeah. But within our community, the music world, producer world, songwriters, artists, there's some debate about, what should happen, what should go on, and from your standpoint, what do you think how should we respond as a music community?
Man, first, I think it's got to start at home. It's got to start with the people around you. We had a couple of meetings here, at Bandwidth, man, and we just kind of had roundtable moments where, some people were angry, ready to go out and start popping off, you know what I'm saying, whoop, whoop. But others, wanted to get into a stage of voting and trying to figure things out. But I think the overall consensus for us was, look, let's start with our own first. What can we do to make sure that we as black business owners and black, entrepreneurs, how we working together to make sure that, Brian's got good credit. So Brian can make a change for one of us as well. You know what I'm saying? Making sure each person in our circle has the tools and all the things in place. Personally, man, I'll be honest, I didn't go out and do no protesting because I personally am scared to death of the cops. You know what I'm saying? I've had some extremely challenging situations with the cops over things like, failure to appear, fucking ticket. You know what I'm saying? I'm riding around and I get pulled over one day and my license is suspended because I didn't show up to court one day. Right. And, drug out the car, the whole nine. It's just like, yo, who I ain't going out there to mess with them right now. You know what I'm saying? What I'm doing is I'm inside my building trying to figure out how to do it. And through that, of course, we're starting to write the songs that have the messages in it. I got my artists speaking out about it. They're out here talking about their stance on it and, and what it means to be a black man and woo, woo, woo. So we're just starting there, man. We don't have an answer either, bro, because the truth is the problem is not really, it's ours to bear, but it's not it's not our problem. The people that need to change are the people who are mistreating people. Right. You know what I'm saying? So in truth, man, we just trying to, I just want to protect my brothers, make sure like you don't go out here and whoop somebody's ass. So I got to come and, and help you. You know what I'm saying? I hope you don't get in that position. So all I'm trying to do is talk to you as my brother and say something like, look at it like this, bro. We can do this differently. I'm hoping to try to come up with more educational ways to approach it as opposed to gonna burn up my man's shit down the street.
And first of all, when it comes to all that stuff, like, I don't agree with like burning shit down and all that and rioting, but I understand.
I totally understand.
So I'm not judging at all. Totally. I ain't judging. I ain't mad. Like whatever happens. I'm not saying go do it, but those that do, look, man. Right. This people fed up, bro. Right. We in the same position. They fed up, so I don't got nothing to say about that. You know what I'm saying? What I do think though, as a music community, we mentioned this before. I think it's interesting how in these times, the music doesn't necessarily reflect positive, uplifting messages for black people like they did back in the day. And I don't want to come off as the old man, the old head, but I remember NWA may fuck the police, right? Right. But they also had,
express yourself.
Express yourself, you know what I'm saying? They, as a matter of fact, Ruthless Records with Eazy-E's album, Eazy Does It, and NWA album, this is showing my age now. They had a cassette tape, right?
Yeah.
Half the tape was the cussing and shit. The other half was all clean music.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
On both albums, you know what I'm saying? Too Short, the same thing. Too Short would have clean songs about the ghetto and about, you know, he talked about pimping and fucking and sucking, right? But the next song is talking about like black pride and the ghetto.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
On all his albums.
Right.
So
Which
it's
is
like
practically all of our lives. We all know this.
Yeah, man. And it's like we don't really have like you know, like a Marvin Gaye, what's going on. That particular song is a good record. You know what I'm saying? Because now it's kind of like you corny if you talk about positive stuff. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like we ain't gonna play We Are the World at no barbecue.
Well, that's what I'm expecting.
We'll play what's going on at the barbecue.
Yeah, though. I think that's what we have to do as a music community. You know, they had the Blackout Tuesday, which, you know, was it got twisted up in my opinion. I hated the way people like
turned into a debacle for me.
Yeah, it was some bullshit. But and I was for it. You know what I'm saying? And then I started seeing people against it. It's just like, who cares, man? At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? We got to start by making some kind of stance. So we make the stance, but what I do want to try to hold the music community to, man, is getting behind more positive music. Because here's the thing, like right now, social media, the music, all the stuff online, dude, it's looking like there's no space for the foolish shit this month. It's funny to watch because, you know, you're not even seeing the girls on there shaking their ass like they was, you know, 2 weeks ago. Right. You're not seeing people on there throwing and holding up money and doing things like that. You know, of course, we with the shits. We like to see it. It's all about, you know, it's all entertaining. But I think that the space needs to be opened up. You know, the algorithm needs to be worked in, man, for people who are saying more positive things and sending out the proper message. And for those, now all of a sudden, all I see is people speaking out against the cops. It's like, come on. I can remember when you used to, you know, we used to have to send DM type of, you know, messages to people to get them to post certain things that had truth in it. So I think it's working. Whatever's happening is starting to, you know, wake people up.
I hope so, man. And I hope it can become, quote unquote, fashionable to kind of like just speak out on stuff. Again, I like the bullshit music. I still love the trap shit. I love the ignorant shit. Right. But I can consume some uplifting. You know, I love, like when they did the versus battle with Fred Hammond and Kirk Franklin. I watched that whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love gospel music. You know what I'm saying?
Matter of fact, I wish we could talk about verses more right now, Dan, because it's a really good thing that's going on that. So we'll touch that on the next episode for sure, man. So what's up with the labels? You know what I'm saying? Because one of the things that I thought was really cool about, you know, labels taking action, Republic Records ended up disbanding the urban department, the word urban in their verbiage as far as how they determine departments, you know, and I was so happy to see that, man. I reposted it and all kinds of shit, and you know, then, you know, cause people jump in the comments with shit that ain't got nothing to do with what we talking about, but
give us our masters and all this stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Give us our publishing and all this stuff.
But and you know, and those are real issues. However, you know what I'm saying? I think that the main
I got views on that. We'll talk about that in another episode. Some of that's some bullshit.
But I think it is true, man. I think to separate it and give people an urban department was always some type of low key, not really racist, but definitely a separative. It was a separative type of thing.
Right.
You know,
I think you told me you would go to Nashville sometimes.
Yeah.
Just to be a producer.
Just to go to I pull up to, you know, certain labels in Nashville, you know what I'm saying, and I'm there to work. They don't know that I'm capable of doing whatever I came there to, whatever I set my mind to do. Right. They don't know my biggest record was a borderline country record. You know what I'm saying? And so the first thing they tell me is we don't have an urban department. There's nobody, you know, I didn't come to talk to nobody in a damn urban department. I need to talk to a person who wants to get some music from me. Right. So I'm glad they did it. You know, I think that's the first step. I'm noticing they doing money. Like, you know, the labels are kicking out bread.
Yeah, you know, the big three labels. You got Warner, Universal, and Sony. Warner and Sony have both announced they're going to donate $100 million to social justice causes. You know what I mean? And Universal Music Group is donating $25 million to social justice. But what they're doing is they're developing an actual task force for equality and social justice at Universal Music. So it's going to be interesting to see how that manifests itself. Is it going to mean like more jobs? They've got Jeff Harrelson from Def Jam, and then Ethiopia. I always get her last name wrong. I ain't even gonna try to pronounce it. Shout out to Ethiopia, but
Yeah.
they're gonna head that task force.
That's dope.
You know, and we're gonna see, you know, because maybe some opportunities that come down the pipeline.
Yeah.
One thing though I did want to ask though, I kind of had mixed feelings about. You're gonna see not just in music, but in the country in general. I see a lot of I don't know if I want to call it white guilt. I don't know what I want to call it, but it seems like a lot of stuff. Reparations. I mean, again, I'm not saying I'm for it or against it, but it's
the flipping of white privilege to black privilege type energy, I guess.
I seen an executive, I think it was for Reddit,
yeah, that
said they were gonna, like, a top executive, they were gonna quit their position and demand that it be filled with a black person. Mm-hmm. It reminds me, I watched George Floyd's homegoing, one of his homegoings, or he had 3.
Yeah,
I think one was today in Texas, but the first one was in Minnesota. Reverend Al Sharpton they gave the eulogy. He said a lot of stuff. One thing he said that stuck out to me that I agree with 100%. He was talking about, you know, the metaphorical foot on the neck, knee on the neck of George Floyd, metaphorically for black people. Mm-hmm. He was saying, I don't want any favors. Just get your knee off our neck. In other words, like, you don't got to give me anything. Just give me a fair chance out here. Yeah. So I kind of think about, like, it seems as if, like, everybody's feeling bad about the plight of black people, so they don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? Right. You know, like the guy from Reddit, I don't want mine, just give it to a black person. It's like, wait a second, you know, it's kind of like on one hand it's like, yeah, give it to us, we deserve it, but on the other hand, it's like, well, don't insult me, bro. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? I can go get my own shit. Just don't. Right. So it's kind of like what I'm saying is, in the music industry, are we going to see like more openings and availability for people of color out of that? You know, are they going to, you know, because I mean, if you're just going to give me some shit, I mean, does that mean that we ought to go to Universal and find out about a task force? Like, are they giving out record deals, record labels, nigga? Like, what y'all doing? Remember, Universal is the number 1 label out of the big 3. Right. So if they got a task force, my nigga, like...
Yeah, I just want to see people who I know deserve those positions to get those positions, bro. Like, let's just keep it 100. It's only like 3 or 4, like, CEO, not even CEO, bro. I don't think we have any. I think Big John Platt might be the only like CEO that's black in the music business. I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. So let's not even, you know, I'm not done. Like, let's not do that to myself. But truth is, it's not enough. You know what I'm saying? And we all know that black music is like the root of all genres. So it's like, no matter what you say, man, even if you go to rock, you know that came from, you know, black people. If you go to country music, it's really just a derivative of blues to me. You know, so yeah, I really hope this opens up the doors, man. You know, one thing for sure, like we were talking about earlier, you know, my goal is to be prepared for those moments when more opportunities open up for black companies.
Exactly.
I'm ready for it. You feel me? And that's what I'm going to be there
if you
to
stay ready, you don't got to get ready.
That's it. And that's what I was telling my team. I continue to preach that. Is like, listen, that's how we going to help. We're going to make sure we prepared to be in position to not be given something that we don't deserve and get embarrassed later on down the line. You know how it goes.
Right, like, see, I told you.
Yeah. Nah, we're not doing that. We ready for that ass.
For sure, man. Speaking of, we can go on and on, but we could tackle some of this down the road. But I'm ready for a dope interview. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I'm ready to just keep being excellent, man. We got a lot of people in the industry that we want to talk to. We want to step our game up and be more excellent. Because for me, black pride comes in, you know what I'm saying? This whole George Floyd thing has made me prideful to be a black man that's doing something positive, and I want to step my game up, you know what I'm saying?
Well, speaking of black pride, I'm super proud of this next guest we got coming on the show too, man. Rico Love, man. A prolific songwriter, prolific record producer, just an amazing human being, man, doing a lot for the music community.
And I got so many questions, man. I knew about Rico. I mean, I don't follow a lot of people, but I follow him. Yeah. I've been following him for years.
Exactly. Like,
But even then, though, like, I just did a deep dive in the last couple of days on him, and it's like, it's so much shit I want to ask him now, because he's an amazing songwriter. Just his methodology when writing songs, you know. He had... we'll get into it because he writes like, he literally, most of his songs now, it's like watching a movie because he's really talking about something else.
That's fine.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of his songs are metaphorical. You got to go beyond the surface. And I just found that out.
All right.
I'm listening to certain songs like, oh, really? That's what you was talking about in this song.
That's dope.
So now I'm like, Yes, it's real dope. It's real dope.
All right, man. Well, listen, we're going to jump to that, man. You know what I'm saying? It's good to see you again, bro. Man, I'm glad to see you safe. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. Let's get it.
Let's do this thing.
Let's go.
All right.
Well, here on the Free Game Producer Podcast, we got a very, very, very special guest. One of my favorite songwriter and producers out there, one of the best of all times. He's did written records for Beyonce, Nelly, Carrie Hilson, Usher, Trey Songz, Melanie Fiona, Kerry Rowland, Mary J. Blige, David Guetta, Diddy, and many, 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 many more. We've got the great Rico Love. How you doing, sir?
Amazing, man. How are you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Man, first, we really just want to thank you, man, for coming on the show with us, man. You are definitely one of the most prolific guests that we've had on here. And we've had some really strong ones, man, you know what I'm saying? But we've been following your career for a long time, man. And to talk to you, to be able to get some insight from you is super important to us as producers and for our listeners. So thank you. Before we even get started, I just want to give you them flowers now, dog.
I appreciate that, for real.
Yes, sir.
The first thing I kind of wanted to jump into, normally we like to get into backstories, you know, your inspirations and all that, but with the current climate going on in the country with, you know, the racial justice fight and with George Floyd, yesterday we talked about what recording artists and songwriters and producers should be doing in this time. From your perspective, what should songwriters and producers and artists be doing during this time to kind of fight for social justice using their platform?
I think you should be speaking out and speaking up early and often, educating your audiences, challenging the people who follow you and who interact with you on a daily to speak out also, challenging them to understand the plight of a Black person in this country, challenging them to speak up and not just DM you how they feel, show their white friends and their buddies, and show the people around them that they stand in solidarity with something that is so fair. Black Lives Matter. It's just saying that we also deserve justice just the same way as any other person. So from that point of speaking out on a daily basis, I think it's important for us to voice and show camaraderie and solidarity to the movement.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, you know, that was one of the things we were kind of concerned with. You know, we're noticing right now that, you know, people don't really have the catalog musically right now either to kind of follow up with what's going on. You know, that it's really interesting to me how the internet is kind of, you know, it's changing because of the narrative right now. So there's no room for the bullshit on the internet. It's kind of like you look kind of crazy right now if you one of those guys that's you know, flashing the money or doing things that don't necessarily, you know, benefit the people.
I disagree though. Like Future had the #1 album in the country. Gunna had the #2 album in the country. Slime and B, Chris Brown and Thugger is climbing up the charts. If you look at the Baby and the Rockstar record, so honestly, mainstream has not caught on. Had this been 20 years ago, Tupac would have had a record, an anthem.
Oh, wow.
Would have been out, but it would have been a #1 record. So mainstream, I think, does an incredible job of masking and hiding it. I think that on socials, we can get caught up in the social media bubble and believe that it's at the forefront, but sadly it's not, man. It's really not. You look at where the culture is going, and if you look at the numbers, you look at Billboard, you look at the Shazams, you look at the TikToks and the Trillers and all those things, is dominated by, on the musical side, with fluff. And then if you go to the topical side or go to the following or like social side, you see a lot of that. You see a lot of people standing up, but you also see a lot of opportunists who are using this as a trendy thing to make themselves feel better or feel cool. Right. You know, guy walking in the middle of the riot selfie vibes with the Gucci mask on. Like, you know, it's too much of it's becoming very self-serving in my opinion when it comes to that in that regard. And I think that's kind of like resonated from, you know, or derivative of the whole musical element of it being about myself and being about me and balling and stuff like that.
Right. Do you think that, you know, from a music standpoint, do you think the labels are going to start investing more in?
They're going to do whatever makes them money.
That's right. You're right.
You say whatever they need to say right now. They'll make the comment that they need to make right now.
Yeah.
because it would be remiss not to. But they're gonna do whatever makes them money. The labels are not controlled by people who look like you and me.
Facts.
Germans and his Asians. Germans and Asians who are not affected at all by any of this, they don't even live in America. The guys who own the labels. I'm not talking about the chairman. I'm talking about the CEO who runs it, and I'm talking about the owners of the labels. When they have to fly all those countries and have those big board meetings with the, no, they're not concerned. Mm-hmm. Now, if it starts to affect their bottom line, then we'll see. And if social justice records start to work, then they'll push for that. But in the middle of a drought, they'll make a song about cactuses. Like they don't. If it works, they'll work it.
Perfectly put.
Well, I think the reason why you're a good person to talk to about this topic is because you do a very, very excellent job of writing songs that could be about one thing on the surface, but have a whole another meaning beneath the surface. You have a quote where you said, say the most obvious things in a way where it's never been said before. So with that mindset, how can artists start to incorporate some of these messages in their songs, but still make it sound good and be pleasing?
I think that it's about challenging themselves and artistically, but if they haven't done that before, why would we expect that from them now? You know, I think that the perfect catalyst for subjects in that matter right now in today's time, I think that NBA Youngboy would be perfect for this. I think that Rod Wave would be perfect for this. I think that if Kodak was home, it would be perfect because they express pain so incredibly well in their songs already. These are people who have made a consistent career of talking about the things that ail them. So I think those type of acts will be perfect for this climate. It's just about, are they, see, Tupac was directly affected and he was indirectly affected to certain things. He was abused by police. He was wrongly incriminated. He went to jail and did a rape charge that I still believe he did not commit. So he was involved in the justice system being unfair. The famous speech he gave when the judge wasn't looking him in the face, he understood and was engulfed in it. Now, the poverty side of it, he was indirectly involved in it, but he came from a poverty-stricken, mother was a crackhead, father was a pimp, was a drug addict, like all those things. So he was able to relate to it in a certain way. I think that, yeah, NBA Youngboy go to jail all the time. Yeah, Rod Wave had a criminal past. Yeah, Kodak Black is in jail right now. But what, in jail for what? And when they went to jail, what was the message they learned? And I don't think that a lot of them are seeing it for what, like they're not understanding how systemically the way that they are is based on a history of racism, of profiling, of oppression, of redlining, all those things. And I think that if they this is the first generation in a long time that does not listen to anybody, like nobody can tell them anything. So I think if they did understand that, those three artists would be incredible catalysts to be the champions for a new movement and a push towards social justice.
Yeah. So being from Milwaukee, man, like where did this start for you? Like what were your musical influences? Most cities have like several people that they consider leaders from those particular places. Obviously, you're a leader from that place now, but was there anyone before you in Milwaukee that influenced you to get into this and do it the way you're doing it?
Al Jarreau, Cal, he had a big record out there. I don't think I wasn't like following his career before that song or after the song, but there's a guy named Baby Drew. An incredible, voice and tone, and cadence and structure. A guy named Young Twan. It was like a lot of young MCs out there. But the culture in itself was extremely swift and cool and slick. There's a lot of slick talkers. There's like pimps. The first pimping originated in that area. So that gift of gab and that ability to be able to talk yourself out of any situation and to be able to know 5% about anything, at least 5% about any subject, to bullshit your way through a conversation. That's like something you learn in Milwaukee. And, my dad being from New York and me kind of splitting my time in those places, you learn the gift of gab, but then the thing that they don't have that I think the other place to have is the hustle. You know what I mean? Like there's some hustlers out there, and that's why they stand out. But overall, it's not a hustler, go get it. I can survive in any situation mentality there. That I got from New York. That I got from my dad's side of the family. Is like a ambitious, I will not accept anything other than, you know, what I desire mindset. That it's like a East Coast energy. Midwest is a little bit more laid back and a little bit more complacent, and based on even middle America white people. It's fine with just like white picket fence, 9 to 5, wife come home, when I come home, wife cooks me dinner, we go on vacation twice a year, life's great. We save our money, retire, and we move to Florida. Like that's the energy in the middle America as a whole, you know, and that's why most, all candidates for any electoral national election will pivot their energy towards the middle America, because there is a place where people are just stuck in their ways, and this is don't change this for me, don't affect this for me, I need this, you know.
Yeah, it makes sense too, man. I mean, they're all settled in, nobody's trying to change much, so you know.
This is the way we like it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm from the Midwest as well, so I understand that whole mindset, being from Detroit myself. Now, I read about your story where you talked about how for years, you know, you moved to Atlanta, you were sleeping on a couch for a while, and it got real bad for you, and eventually you ended up, you know, signing with Usher. How did you make that transition? How did you meet Usher? How did you sign with Usher? And what made you keep pushing even though you were like sleeping on the couch and wanted to, and had people telling you to quit?
The ambition is what got me to the couch. You know what I mean? Like that was the part, that's the main part. You know, people want to look, how did you, the fact that I was a 19-year-old kid, 17-year-old kid, fresh out of high school, catching the bus to Atlanta every weekend from Tallahassee, going to school at FAMU, and sleeping on the corner boy's couch and on the floor, and having to get up every time they had company. And, you know, that person there is the answer. That is the guy. Anything after that would never come if I wasn't willing to do that. So I think people focus, and it's a great question, but I think the audience a lot of times focus so much on what happens after that. But the stretch, the workout, the training, the diet is what got you there. You know what I mean? So if we look at the finished, complete structure of it, we'll say, well, what made you jump from the couch to that? No. The question is, what made me jump from going to school and looking to get a 9 to 5 or something safe, saying I want to sleep on the couch, and then getting kicked out of school and not going back home and saying I'll just live in Atlanta full time and sleep on the couch and sleep on the floor until something happens for me, and then getting a record deal and still being poor and still sleeping on the floor. Like, you know, all those things. Like, I had so many opportunities to give up in my career. I had so many opportunities to give up and just say, all right, cool, bro. You're a smart guy. You're articulate. You could probably go anywhere you want to go and make some money. This thing is crazy. But it's certain things that are in some of us that aren't in others. I'm going to be honest with you. I can look at people. I can spend a little bit of time with people and know if they're going to make it or not.
Yes,
you know
sir.
A lot of people are uncomfortable with that analysis. But I could tell there's some things that in them that you can see and you can recognize. And you'll be like, now, as soon as it gets tough for you, you'll quit. As soon as it gets to the point where you gotta decide whether it's you eating or, you know, your dream coming true, I can tell that you'll focus on the right now. You don't even understand that you don't have vision. And there's so many people who you couldn't, you know, I could pinpoint it in people. So it's some things that's different in some of us. And I think you both can relate to that.
Yes, absolutely. You know, that makes me wonder, you know, because like you do so well at giving back to up and coming artists. Like I noticed that with all the accolades that you have, man, like one of your biggest give backs is the fact that like you really tap into unsigned talent, you know, discovered talent. And like even on the business side, like you got conferences going on where you're just really trying to educate folks and get them game on how to move. Is like what motivates that part, man? Because, you know, we all know you don't have to do that. We all know that that's something that has to be within. Like what's driving that?
You know what? I think I'm a teacher first. And I just started realizing that when I started putting together the conference 5 years ago. I believe in my heart that I'm a teacher first. It's nothing like the studio is so natural for me. Writing a song is so easy for me. Like, but it's something that gives me a great thrill and honor to be able to present something to someone that they otherwise would not have known, or show them from a perspective that they wouldn't have seen it on their own, or tap into what makes them great. I'm a producer. I tell this all the time to people. I'm like, you have to understand, I'm a producer, and a producer, you thinking it's just me music. I'm a producer in the sense that I can see something and squeeze the greatness out of it so that it produces a fruit, it produces a juice, it produces a whatever it is. That's my gift. And in doing so, some of us can articulate it, and so others can't. I have a gift of being able to articulate what I see and what I feel, and showing people what makes them great and helping them recognize greatness in themselves. And that's my gift.
Hey there. That's amazing, man. I mean, man, listen, I've been, for a long time, man, we've been keeping up with you, and, you always dropping gems on folks, man. It's like, it's what's really fly about what you have to say, man, is both sides of the game so well. It's like what the struggle was, like the dirty side of the struggle, as well as you've seen the luxurious side of it. It's like, you can walk in both worlds, and obviously you succeeded in both worlds. So it's like when I hear you speak and when I see you do, your drops on the internet, sometimes I just it wakes me up. It makes me be like, man, I really hope somebody heard what he just said in this instance. It's like the information is just so priceless, So what's next, man? Like I see you doing like
what about the Emerging Women of R&B project?
Yeah.
Like that's buzzing right now. Like what was the motivation behind that, and where do you see that going? Are you gonna put out more singles from that project?
Kind of like letting it live and do its thing, and then I'm gonna pump a little bit of more energy behind it, put some money behind it. But I just wanted to see what it did organically, and it's doing extremely well organically. And obviously, the pandemic was here. I went to tour with it and take the artists to different places and do showcases and do it that way. And things happen. We can't control. But it was spawned out of me having an artist that I truly believed in. I invested a lot of time in, and then falling out with the artist and realizing that this one person could dictate my future if I put my future in their hands. So if I created an opportunity for me to control an entire body of work that's not solely based on one artist having an attitude one day or not showing up or being late or being unprofessional, I could control the narrative without having to depend on one person to tell me all the work you put in. Because if you think about this, you could sign the most incredibly talented girl in the world, put out an album on her, and then she get pregnant on the eve of the tour. Right. You know what I mean? Like, and everything. So you're in a position where one person can dictate whether this thing works or not. And I want to be the only person who can dictate whether this works or not. And that's why Rico Love Presents is important. I get to do two things. I get to control a project, and it'll be my vision, my ideas, my songs, my production, everything. And then also, I get to do what I've never been able to do in my career, which is my passion, is to break an artist. And that to me is the most important thing. That's what sets apart Timbaland and Rodney Jerkins and Brian Michael Cox and all these guys, is that they've actually had records that broke artists. The Dream, Sean Garrett, they've had records that broke artists. And that's ultimately my goal, is to break artists. And I want to ultimately create the next Motown, the new future. And also I have an artist named Mia Ariana. I have a deal over at Epic with her. And I'm super excited about her and breaking her and putting the work in and putting the time in. But Rico Love Presents is a brand that's going to be continued. And it's not just in putting out records. I have the series called Rico Love Presents The Sessions, where we go city to city. We book 3 rooms, get 5 people in each room from the city. They pay to come and be a part of it, but I'll start an idea each room and let them finish their idea, and I'll come and critique each room, and we build our idea. The goal is to build a network of producers and writers all over the country. So then we get the Who's Looking list, we send it to them, they send us the record, we can facilitate the liaison between them and the record company and the artist, and we'll say to them, we'll take 20% off the top of each record. Now, I don't have to sign you to a publishing deal. I don't have to do, if you take the same record and place it through another channel, I don't have anything to do with that. It cuts the ties and the permanent ties with myself and the creators, and it makes it a more of a opportunity for us all to benefit. You get the look that you wouldn't have necessarily had before. And I get the opportunity to discover new acts and earn from these new acts without having to be in bed with them.
Yeah, that's really dope. Do you bring everybody, like in these moments where you're developing these projects and developing artists, are you bringing them to you, or are you like moving around the country?
When we do the Rico Love Sessions, we had the first Rico Love Sessions set up for April 16th and 17th. And April 17th and 18th, it was going to be in Dallas and Houston. And we had to cancel it because of the pandemic. So I would go to those markets, and then we would do Atlanta, Chicago, DC, and then we were going to do all these different markets. And I was going to go set it up. Think about this. You're paying $500 to get in the session. And honestly, you're paying $500 and you know, all money is good money, but that money don't go in my pocket. That money's paid for the studio. That money paid for my flight, paid for my engineer, paid for my team. So it's really, essentially, I'm not really making a profit. I'm just breaking even. But in the long run, I make an incredible profit if I find the next Timberland somewhere down in Odessa. You know what I mean? Like, imagine that. Imagine you find the next Aaliyah and you're in Kansas somewhere. It's like, that's the long game. We're able to travel and do what we love, but we're also able to find the next great act. And I know people look at it like it's a give back. It's a give back, but it's a business move. Like, I'm trying to find the elite talent in the world. So don't give me so much credit as being this. I care about people and I care about breaking artists, but it's also business. And you could find incredibly talented people if we want to be transparent about it. You know?
I appreciate the transparency, because it's a lot of people don't understand that. You know, they all think that, you know, because you provide opportunities, man, that, you know, it's just a good guy move. It's like it's both. You know what I mean? The truth is, we're all trying to build brands and build businesses and turn all kinds of people into businessmen. But, you know, everybody doesn't see it that way, man. But I think it's a brilliant play. I think in any case, man, anybody to be able to get a chance to get in a room with somebody like you, that's priceless. So, you know,
Priceless.
that's something you didn't get when you were sleeping on couches. Wasn't nobody trying to offer you an opportunity to pay into getting in a room with like a JD.
I will say this. We did have those opportunities, but it was a bit more organic. And a lot of people don't have the opportunities that I have, and that's what gave me the idea. Like I was in the studio, me and Quantum Boys at Red Zone in the back room, and next door to us was The Dream, and working with this girl named Penelope. And then next door was Carrie Hilson writing. And then the other door was Sean Garrett, or across town was Sean Garrett working at Hitco. And it was a community. None of us had made it yet, but it was a community of people. And then Brian would be a Doppler, and we would go and sit in his room. And then Swiss Beats had a room in Doppler, and he would let us sit in his sessions. And, you know, it was like Jason Rohn and all these people, they were just teaching us and showing us things. And it was an incredible opportunity to learn that what I paid for it was me sacrificing the safety of go get a 9-to-5 and be safe. What I paid for it was the sacrifice of my mom thinking that I was going to be a loser and praying for me every night, thinking to herself, what are you down there doing? You're so smart. Why are you down there wasting your time and not understanding? So yeah, it's some time, it's some years and some grind and some struggle put in. That's why I'm so passionate about it, and I'm so passionate about giving back, because man, it's like I can't recreate that for them, but I can show them how they can create their own network of individuals who love and are passionate about music, you know? And that's, if you think about all the things we went through to get to that point, you'll understand why we take it so serious and why we put our lives in. You know, like imagine not being able to eat, and then you get some money, and instead of paying for food, you're paying somebody to get gas money to go to the studio. You know what I mean? Like that was how real it was back. Like, yo, bro, I take you to the studio, I need 20. And all I got is 25. Let me get this man this 20, I'll get some done. You know what I mean?
Right.
I want more, but I got to get to the studio. Or you finally get a nice check, and now the studio ain't free. Now they be like, oh, well, shit, you got some money, now you got to pay for the studio. Now, but what you going to do? Not pay? All right, well, I got to put it back into what I love. A person who don't understand that and understand on top of that having to feed yourself and take care of yourself is a difficult. So to show them that I see you. There are people who grinding like that and who do music, and they don't get the opportunity, and they don't get the freedom to be able to get out here and work. I want to bring that to them, but also I want to discover who's next, and I want to be a part of their development, their cultivation, so we can all earn and make money. Because you're going to do this deal with this corporation that's going to rob you, and I'll tell you, let's do it this way where you don't have to sign your life away. You know what I mean? There may be some people that are so exceptional that you got to do a deal with them, because you're just like, this person is extremely special. But there's some people who got 2 or 3 hits in them in their whole life. I know. I mean, I hate to say it, but there's some people who that's all they're gonna be able to do. I know guys who did some big records, but if you try to get them to recreate that, if you understand the science of it, they just can't. Yeah. And that's fine. But at least those big records that you have, at least you own the lion's share of it, and you don't have to say, well, damn, I can't get no more money because I won't ever recoup this deal because I'll probably never have another hit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm putting in a position where they won't take ownership of what they have.
Mm-hmm. Nah, I love it, bro.
So are you going to still keep doing music, and what's your motivation to just keep doing music as a solo artist when obviously you don't have to?
Man, you know what? I be having to be in the mood to do an album. It's not like my brother Sleep, he gets so mad at me because he's like, why don't you just put
It's
out
3:30.
But I'd be like, I gotta be in the mood to do music. I have to be something for me, and I know it's my therapy. So it's my way of releasing something that's burdening me. So music is that amazing tool for me as far as the artist is concerned. I have tons of records that I could put out, but it's like they'll be all over the place. And I mean, I'm sure I could put together a 5-song EP about sex and then a 5-song EP about relationships and do all that. But when it comes to my albums, it's my release. Because if I'm dealing with so much, then I could be able to dive into the album, put it together, and then I get to travel the country talking about what I just wanted to. If I couldn't release it in one particular setting, I get to travel the world and talk about it over and over again, and that's my therapy, you know?
That's dope. Well, before we get out of here, man, I want to ask about this shoe collection, man. You know we don't.
No, listen. I'm a sneaker guy myself, and I came across a video with Nice Kicks where you were showing your luxury kicks. Oh my gosh! Like for me, that's motivation just to be successful. Mm-hmm. That's big motivation. You know what I mean? So like, I would say this.
If I could do that all again, I wouldn't even do that. Mm-hmm. I went through very terrible times where I got sued for a bunch. Mm-hmm. I had to file for bankruptcy. Nobody knew because I'm a hustler. I had to make it happen. I went through a lot of tough, and I'm excited that I could talk about it now on my own terms. But I'm not trying to say that that's the reason why I didn't blow money on sneakers. But I look back on all the things and I'm saying, well, damn, was that even necessary? Because now we're in a situation where you got a 15-bedroom mansion and you got a negative in your bank account because of somebody ripping you off or something going wrong or something like that. You look back and say, damn, I could have saved that almost $3.5 million I spent on clothes and shoes. You know what I mean? Like you think about things like that. So I would say, buy it, get it, have a good time, but also try to find ways to use your brand and make it so that they give it to you. Mm. I was a person who didn't wait on things. I was like, man, I want it all. And also, I thought that I thought the guys were living like how I was living. So me buying the presidential rolling real, no bust down, or the Audemars, my Audemars real, diamond face, 100,000, no bust down. I'm thinking to myself, that's what everybody's doing.
Right. Wrong.
Amongst people who are renting their watches or wearing fake watches to the club, but they know they're super famous and nobody really would know, or not, or using the clothes from the stylist and wearing it and give it back to the stylist, or all that stuff. And you start realizing, like, man, I'm not trying to say that I would have to live that life, but I was doing things thinking that this is the way you do it. Until I started speaking to people who were a lot wiser and older and was like, no, bro, I don't need all that. And I started seeing my idols. I worked across the hall from Pharrell for like 2.5 years. And Pharrell wore the same thing every day for about 2 months. I'm not exaggerating. Same exact thing every day. I was like, he's Pharrell. You know what I mean? So what I learned when I went through these difficult times was nobody knew I was broke financially because I never was broke spiritually or mentally. But at the time when I was broke, nobody knew because I was Rico. And I had to learn that what I am is bigger than what I wear. And you have to understand that it's not about, all those things are fun, but I had to see like, oh, okay, nobody's looking at me and saying, bro, I didn't have a car. I went from having the Wraith, the Ghost, the Audi R8, the Escalade, all those things that having no car. But every time I showed up, nobody asked what I was driving. I caught an Uber, would let the Uber take me off down the block. You know what I mean? I'm talking about the regular Uber, not the big boy.
Yeah.
I had to have a nigga pick me up in a Nissan.
Right.
He's selling 100 million albums as a songwriter. Yeah. And I had to do things like that. And I would, if you ask me, no, would I made decisions different? Yeah, but if you ask me would I change that, what I went through, absolutely not. I appreciate all of it. It taught me so much about myself and the people around me. It taught me so much about, honestly, about any consequences to your actions. You know, because a lot of times people don't know how to tell you that they're upset with you until you go broke.
Right.
So you learn that there's some things that you did that affected people, because you probably would have never learned it if you never went to that point. You're always up. Nobody really got a reason to beef with you. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that time showed me. So yeah, the kicks is great. You know, I want everybody to enjoy and be fly. But if you ask me, did I need all those sneakers? Like, come on. I have sneakers right now in my house that I've never worn.
Right.
I pull them out, and guys be like, "What are those? Oh my God!" I'd be like, "I got these 7, 8 years ago." You know what I mean? So yeah, man, it's cool, but I got to be real with the audience. I can't let them go. If I see a youngster moving like that, I say, man, have a good time, but listen, slow down, because just think about what you actually really need all that. And the answer most likely is no. We're compensating for the things that we lacked growing up. And I was teased about my sneakers growing up, so I vowed that I would never ever be teased about sneakers again when I got money. You know what I mean? There's certain things that hang-ups we had as kids that when we get older, certain things are just off limits. I will not accept not having sneakers because this is what I went through as a kid, you know. So, you know, I would advise against it for sure.
That's game though, man. We appreciate that, bro. That's really good, man.
One more thing, make sure you let everybody know where they can, sign up for the conference and sign up for whenever you start back up the sessions in the cities. Let everybody know where they can tap in at.
Conference July 17th through the 19th on Zoom, via Zoom. So you can go to welovemusicconference.com and register. And it's going to be a great time. I'll put together the lesson plans. I taught a 3-day class about the evolution of Mary J. Blige and understanding the connection between what's the 411, my life and share my world. And it was incredible. It was amazing. You know.
Wow.
So I think I'm going to impart some of that in the conference this year. And it's one of those things that I feel like again, that's my true passion. So go to welovemusicconference.com and follow the We Love Music Conference page on Instagram. It's at We Love Music Conference.
Well, thank you, bro.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying, man? Maybe we can catch back up with you next year or later on in the year to see what's going on. I just really appreciate you, man. It means the world to me that you did this for us, man. So thank you. Yeah, and we'll catch up with you next round, brother.
Appreciate the love.
Peace, man.
Yo, we hope you enjoyed this episode of the Free Game Podcast. If you did enjoy it, make sure you subscribe to the Airbit channel right below. Just hit subscribe on the button below. Or you can go to youtube.com/Airbit. You know what I'm saying? If you're feeling the podcast, make sure you share it, let your friends know. Also, there's an audio version of the podcast. Look in the notes below and you'll see where to subscribe to that at.
Yeah.
Free Game Podcast.
Free game.